Three, two, one, action. Welcome back to episode 50 of As Seen on Screen. I'm Gracie.
And I'm Nicole, and we're your source for entertainment news, reviews, conversations, and more.
You can find us wherever you get your podcasts on Spotify and YouTube.
Well, welcome back to another week on the show. We are so happy you are here. We have a ton to get through today. We're excited to be back with our normal type of episodes after last week's long slew of interviews, which we were so grateful and glad to be able to share with you. But that being said, today we are actually starting off with an interview. Before we get into our news, we are so excited to be sharing with you our chat we had with Grace Caroline Currey for the new film A Breed Apart, which is from Lionsgate. If you haven't heard what this film is about, it follows Violet, Grace's character, who accepts an invitation to a private island with some of the world's most famous social influencers. She expects a weekend of unrivaled viral opportunity. She soon becomes part of her own horrific reality show when the guests are pitted against each other to capture the island's legendary man-eating dogs before they become victims of the monstrous canines. Hayden Panettiere, Virginia Gardner, and Grace Caroline Currey star in a hilarious, harrowing tale of terror. That is obviously the synopsis we have via Lionsgate. Thank you, thank you. So we have been able to talk with Grace all about her role in this film. We learned some fun facts from behind the scenes. So let's go to it now.
Well, it's great to be with you here today, Grace. We're so excited to be chatting about A Breed Apart. Thank you so much for sharing your time with us.
Yeah, I'm so glad I get to chat with you guys.
I want to start off by asking you, right about the dogs, because obviously, huge part of the film, and I know you worked specifically with Emma the Shepherd, and I'm sure a lot of other dogs. So I wanted to ask you, what was that experience working not only with human scene partners, but also juggling that and working with some animals as well in all of these scenes?
It was pretty fun to get to show up to set and have dogs on set. I mean, and they're so sweet. And they're beautiful dogs, German Shepherds. That was a pretty fun thing. And then getting to see them do their thing, like running or, they're so well behaved. That was really fun. But a lot of the scenes where I'm maybe interacting with the dog in a way that is different than I would with a regular dog in everyday life because these dogs are rabid and unusual. I was either interacting with thin air or I was interacting with some sort of pillow dog shape. Um, so I didn't get to work with the dogs in a, intense scene partner kind of way.
Right.
But they were awesome.
I imagine that'd be quite different when you're petting something that's not quite there. Very unusual to any real life instance.
But it's such a wild movie already, and it's so silly that I think it kind of is part of the the wildness is them being there, them not being there, and them being rabid on screen. Oh my gosh, they're such crazy characters in themselves, right? They're like these fantasy zombie dogs. I think if I had to act opposite eye to eye with one of the sweet German Shepherds, it'd be a little hard to imagine them as a rabid zombie dog thing.
Absolutely.
I mean, apart from your amazing co-stars that you had, you were also working in such a beautiful location. I know you guys filmed in Guatemala, specifically in like a forest. So, was there any challenges that you're proud of yourself and the team for overcoming? Because obviously there's so many variables that can go into being on a physical location.
Food poisoning was one of them for
Mm.
of us, most all of us. So I'm proud of us for getting through it on that one. And you know, we learned not to, you have to be very mindful about vegetables and ice and water. And we would do our best, but every once in a while, something somehow would sneak in. And when we finally got to the last hotel we were on location at, we were able to have a salad. I've never enjoyed a salad more than that salad. So that's saying something. But yeah, we were very much in this jungle for a lot of the shoot, and then on this beautiful island when we were showing a lot of the Vince Ventura Island areas. And it was just really fun to explore and be in such a adventurous location, especially for a lot of the scenes where we're in the golf cart. There were some steep hills, cliff areas that we were driving by. And Ginny was driving the cart a lot of the time. So Virginia Gardner, who I'm in this with from Fall, who I love. And I'd be like leaning out of the car with a bow and arrow, and she's swerving and she's driving fast.
On top of obviously the hardships that you had on this set, what were some of your favorite moments or best on set memory?
Definitely being with all the other actors. They're so funny and sharp and fun to work with. And anytime you get to be a part of an ensemble cast, you hope that everyone's going to be a good egg, because you have one bad egg and it can be a bit of a rough time. But everyone was just so lovely and so fun. Felt like our odd little unconventional family.
Speaking off of the ensemble cast, something I wanted to ask you about is obviously, especially at the beginning, we see the characters bring so many different personalities through their content creation. They all kind of have different backgrounds, different places where they're coming from. So I wanted to ask, with working with the ensemble cast, what kind of different personalities did you learn about each other, working with each other, and bringing to this set all individually?
One of the fun things was working with Paige Kennedy, who every single day had a brand new word of the day he would bring us. That
Ooh.
was one never heard of, and he'd have us guess what the definition was. And that was really entertaining. He's got quite the vocabulary. That's very a niche thing, but yeah, Paige is many words, very educational. And also just, it's always fun when you get a group of actors together and you get to just ask them questions about, what's your process? How do you enjoy, playing certain characters? How do you like to work? And so a lot of our evenings over dinner would be kind of really talking a lot, like learning about each other, and a very good group of curious people who want to have thoughtful conversations. So, as silly as we are on screen and as mad as the movie is, we had some really lovely evenings together.
I love that. I love how quickly, like you said earlier, it can become a family between everyone on set, and I think that's awesome. But word of the day is pretty great. That's like an advanced Wordle. That I would feel so much smarter coming out of that.
Yeah, I wish I could remember them, but they were so unique. And there was one every day. He was so good about it. Every day he'd have a new word.
I was gonna say, is
That
there
is.
one that you like specifically remember that stuck with you?
If he sees us, he's gonna yell at the screen, like, Grace, you gotta know this word. Not yell, laughing. Paige has the best laugh ever. I have his voice in my mind saying something like pernicious, but it wouldn't be pernicious. It would be something like different. And he'd send like voice memos to our group chat too and be like, this is the word. Now tell me what you think it means. And he wouldn't tell us. So everyone would kind of like guess, or during the day we would guess. I want to say he did like inexorable one time or something, and I actually knew it. I had a couple where I was like, I think I know this word. And of course it wasn't the exact definition, but
You were
yeah,
close.
Yeah.
see, I was close enough.
It's
Of
the
course,
thought
then
that counts.
Paige, I meant it in this way. That's
100%.
I know what
Wind
that
it.
word.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we are out of time, but thank you so much for your time and congratulations on everything again.
Thank you. Thank you guys. Fun to chat with you.
We just want to extend another big thank you to Grace for sharing her time with us. We so enjoyed that fun chat, and we will have more chats to share with you for A Breed Apart in the next few days. So keep an eye out for some more interviews coming with the cast and directors. But until then, that is what we have for you on that front. So thank you to Lionsgate and KWPR for giving us this opportunity. But now let's get back into our regular lineup here, starting off with our news. Gracie, what is at the top of our lineup for this week?
Starting off our news with a sequel, I think we're both excited for, which is rare for us to say,
True. Very
but
true.
Practical Magic is coming back and it has a theatrical release date of September 18th, 2026 with Warner Bros.
I love how we always say release dates that are like years down the line, and we're like, hey, this is coming, but
Like,
not
just
for
in
a
case
while.
you want to put it in your calendar and count down the days.
We should start doing that. We need one of those like tracker apps. Like I've always used those like event tracker apps to count down my
Mm,
trips or whatever.
I
Um,
used to use those
we need one solely for movies. You know how many entries we'd have in that?
a lot.
That would be bad. That would go to like 2028 at this point, I think.
Maybe not our best idea, but definitely an idea. We don't really know what the plot of this second film is. We do know that the original cast is coming back.
I'm excited to have Nicole Kidman and Sandra Bullock back on our screens together. I love the little teaser trailer they did, the little spell that they said, kind of leading up into the release date announcement. So I thought that was very cute, and I am very excited. But on to our next piece of news, which I feel like Gracie will have better insight because she has actually read these books. I have not, but I am very
I'm
excited to
so
see this.
excited.
Book Talk has always been filling me in on this. If you haven't caught on, the off-campus series adaptation with Amazon MGM Studios and Prime Video, they just announced the full cast. So Gracie, who do we have in our roles?
I'm so excited for the off-campus series. I'm really hoping that all of the books get adaptations, but we're gonna focus on this one first.
Mhm.
Um, for the two main characters, we have Hannah and Garrett Graham. So Hannah will be played by Ella Bright and Belmont Cameli as Garrett. And Belmont is killing it right now because Nicole and I had a huge crush on him in Until Dawn.
Mm-hmm.
So when I saw that announcement, I was like, okay, pop off. We went from a horror movie to a rom-com. I don't want to say rom-com because like it's not super comedy, but like it's still funny. Adding on to the cast, we have Jalen Thomas Brooks as John Tucker, Antonio Cipriano as John Logan, and Stephen Kalin as Dean De Laurentiis. This cast, there's obviously a lot more people to come, and I'm super excited to see who they cast. I know that this has kind of been 50-50 whether fans like it on TikTok or Book Talk, sorry, because I've seen people who've been like, this is the best casting ever. I love it. And then I've seen people be like, I hate it, redo it. This isn't what we asked for because it was an open casting call, so anyone could audition. There's also been some discourse on TikTok with people saying that they don't like the age gap between Ella and Belmont because Belmont is 27 and Ella is 18. Some people aren't super happy about that, but Nicole and I were saying before, there have been way bigger age gaps for actors. They're both professionals.
Well, I'm very curious to see this because, like you said, I've been seeing so many TikToks on it since the casting announcements come out. But I've also always seen like book talk TikToks about it and like lots of people talking about the off-campus series. I also saw this TikTok that Antonio posted after the casting announcement was released, and it was like of him reading the book, sitting in the EA Sports came on his TV in the background. So that was cute.
I'm so excited for them. And all the guys actually do play hockey, so I feel like that's gonna look very real, which is great.
Agreed, agreed. But I saw Belmont on his Instagram story today too, posted at a hockey rink.
I know. I'm like, maybe we're training, maybe we're starting like some teaser films. Like, I don't know, but I'm excited to see what we get from this. And hopefully it stays true to the book. I'm also interested to see what the rating is.
Well, talking about another TV show that I'm personally in love with right now, The Studio officially got its renewal announcement for a second season with Apple TV Plus. So that will be in production, in the works. We're closing out on season one. We only have a few weeks left of new episodes, which I'm so sad about. But we're filming this right now before this week's episode comes out. So the last one I've seen is the Golden Globes episode. The CinemaCon episode is coming out this week still. When we're filming this, it'll have been out already when you guys see this episode. So I'm excited to see that one. But this show is so funny. I was watching the Golden Globes one today and I couldn't stop giggling the whole time, which isn't unusual for me. I giggle at everything. But This show is so good. I love Seth Rogen. Every single person in this is so hilarious. The guest stars are great. I mean, we've seen everyone from Canadian icon Sarah Polley to we've seen Adam Scott in the latest episode, Zoe Kravitz. We've seen I can't even think of everyone right now. So many people in this show. So I'm very excited to see it getting a second season because I think it's so interesting since the actors are like, yeah, this is somewhat similar to what you really go through in Hollywood as either like an actor, a producer, a director, a writer, whatever. Each episode kind of focuses on different roles in the studio. But man, Seth Rogen's character, Continental Studios is not, it's kicking his butt. It is giving him a run for his money. But what is our last piece of news, Gracie? Because I know we were chatting about this earlier, also with TV, and we're a little conflicted.
I'm not conflicted. I don't like it. I'm gonna be so honest. I don't like it. This goes back to us not liking sequels or redos, but the first official poster for the Office spin-off series, right for the name, The Paper, is scheduled to release this September on Peacock. And not only do I not know what the spin-off is going to be about, but I also just hate the name. The Paper just sounds like such a strange name.
All Deadline has released is that The Paper, a mockumentary from Greg Daniels and Michael Coleman, is set in the same universe as NBC's Emmy Award-winning hit series The Office, and features the documentary crew that immortalized Dunder Mifflin's Scranton branch. The crew is searching for a new subject when they discover a historic Toledo newspaper, The Truth Teller, and the eager publisher trying to revive it. So it's the paper because it's a newspaper.
But then why when you say newspaper?
Yeah, why just the paper? I mean,
Because when we thought paper as in the company,
Dunder Mifflin.
but I feel like you'd have to specify newspaper.
Yeah, okay, so it's about the newspaper, not Dunder Mifflin.
Or even what was the name of the newspaper you just said?
The Truth Teller. They could call it the
Why
Truth
not?
Teller.
Why not call it the truth teller? Anyway, those are our thoughts and opinions.
Well, let's move into our reviews for the week because we have two we're eager to share. We're starting off with Prime Video's upcoming series, Overcompensating. So, the comedy series is produced by A24 and Amazon MGM Studios, and it is premiering today, May 15th, like I said, on Prime Video. If you haven't heard what this series is about, it is a college set ensemble comedy about the wild, chaotic journey of Benny, played by Benito Skinner, a closeted former football player and homecoming king, as he becomes fast friends with Carmen, played by Wally Barham, a high school outsider on a mission to fit in at all costs. With guidance from Benny's older sister, played by Mary Beth Barron, and her campus legend boyfriend, Adam DeMarco, Benny and Carmen juggle horrible hookups, flavored vodka, and fake IDs. Deeply funny and personal, the show explores the lengths to which we all overcompensate while on the path to finding out who we really are. Before we talk about it, I also have to point out among all the amazing actors I just mentioned, also in this cast are Kyle MacLachlan, Connie Britton, who both play Benny's parents, Kaya Gerber, Julia Shippett, Alexandra Beaton, which I know and Gracie knows from The Next Step. If anyone watched that, she portrayed Emily. She was also in there. Charlie XCX is in this show. Owen Thiel is in the show. It's crazy. The amount of people that are in this show. I love all the guest stars. It is really funny to see them pop out throughout the show. So let's talk about it because Gracie and I have both had a chance to watch the full season. Thank you to our friends at Prime Video Canada and the TARO group, as always.
I really enjoyed this show. I thought it was original, but it was also so realistic, and I think that's part of the reason I like it, but I also hate it because I don't like how realistic it is. It's so relatable. Like I've either we've been through it or people we know have been in similar situations, and watching it on a screen, seeing it as like an outside person is just like, oh, that actually happened. I don't like that. I don't like that at all. But that being said, the cast, their performances were amazing. I don't think there was like an episode that I didn't laugh constantly through. It's just so unhinged yet so heartfelt, which is a nice little mixture to have. Yeah, I really enjoyed this. I can't say there's anything I didn't like about this show. I'm hoping we get a season two though, because I love these characters and I want to see where they go next.
I agree with everything you just said. I think this show is so goofy and silly, but yet so heartfelt and relatable. Like Gracie said, I laughed so much throughout watching the show and equally cringed because I was imagining my experiences in my first year university that were similar to some of the instances, some of these characters. Even just like the whole idea of when you start university and you feel so alone and like such an outsider.
Hmm.
But the funny thing is that every single person feels that way. Like, I have a hard time believing anyone doesn't feel that way, at least at the very start, because you're going into this whole fresh new universe, especially if you're living on campus and you're living in dorms. That's a whole added experience to it as well. And just that feeling of trying to figure out where you fit in, trying to figure out who you want to be, who you really are, it's your first time away from home. You have that experience and that freedom, which is also a lot explored in this show as well, and branching out of like expectations from other people in your life, whether that be family, friends back home. So I think it's all very relatable in one way or another. Even if you don't relate to one character fully, there's so many instances that you can relate to with so many people throughout this show. Or like Gracie said, relate them to people you know in your own life who you also have seen go through similar instances. So I thought this was so funny. And it was just such a fun little watch. I saw someone say online in the review that it's like a perfect summer comedy show, and I totally agree. Even
100%.
though, even though it's the start of the school year, I think this is
I was
such a
gonna say, even though
fun.
it's about school,
It's such a fun school summer show. It takes place basically from the start of the semester in the fall all the way until the beginning of Christmas break. So it focuses on like a full semester is what you get in this 8 episode season.
I also want to add in, it really threw me off how many TikTokers make cameos in this. Because I'd be watching and I'd be taking it so seriously, and then all of a sudden you see a TikToker in the background and you're like, wait a minute, like
For sure.
rewind, go back a second.
Well, and I also thought because this show was filmed in Toronto last year, and then I realized when I kept seeing when Charlie XCX was on tour and she played in Toronto, and then there was all those photos surfacing of Kaya Gerber and Kyle MacLachlan at the show. I realized that's obviously the time they were here filming it in Toronto. I was like,
Makes
oh,
so much sense now. We missed
everything.
out.
Right?
Yeah, but hopefully there's a season two and we can find our way onto set there.
Hey guys.
How y'all doing?
Overcompensating, we are obviously recommending as your next new watch, and it is out, like I said, today on Prime Video. So get on over there and you can watch the 8 episode season now. But we also wanted to chat about Thunderbolts. Gracie and I have both seen the film and actually just came back from it tonight. So it's fresh in my mind. I have it right in my mind. I will start off by saying, give it 4 to 5 stars. I really enjoyed this one. I agree with a lot of people online for other reviews that I think this is one of my more favorite Marvel films in recent memory. I think definitely I'm intrigued to see where this path is going now that they have opened things up for so many different storylines, so many new beginnings. Obviously, we know where different phases for Marvel are continuing to go down the line, so I'm intrigued to see what is up ahead because obviously we know we have the Fantastic Four next. Looking ahead to next year, we have Doomsday. So, I will say, I really liked the direction they're taking this in. I did feel, however, not as much happened in this movie as I'm used to happening in a Marvel movie, if that makes sense. I was trying to tell Gracie this earlier, and I don't know if it makes sense outside of my head, but like
It does.
it's always so action packed in like every single Marvel film, and I feel like so many things happen. You see so many different places or settings, and this film really took its time with character development. Gracie and I were both saying, and I think that's a good thing for sure. But then it also just felt more like central to certain locations, or it took longer to get out of certain situations or places. So it felt slower in that sense, and not as packed with events in the film, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. But definitely something I noticed for this one. But I really, Florence Pugh, like everyone's saying, Florence Pugh is amazing. Louis Pullman is amazing. Love Sebastian Stan performance. I mean, everyone, like everyone in this film was so funny, so great. I love David Harbour. He is so funny, and their accents kill me. I every time they speak, I'm like, this is I love it.
Yeah, I have to agree with everything Nicole said. I also gave it a 4 stars on Letterboxd. Yeah, it's very different for Marvel. I made a whole separate review on this, and I just stood by the fact that like I never thought I would see the day where Marvel basically made a whole movie about mental health and made it entertaining in a way that like it's still covering a serious issue and saying like it's okay to talk about it. It's okay to feel alone or sad, but you have to realize like you're not alone. And it was very sentimental and I feel like it's so weird to say that like a Marvel movie is a feel-good movie that we need right now because usually you just hear Marvel and you're like action, superheroes, which it still had all of that. But it's definitely a different direction for them. And I do like the direction they're taking it in because it wasn't cheesy and it wasn't cringy. It was just the perfect mixture of having the action, but also focusing more on the characters and saying how even though they're these superhumans, they still have struggles. I was saying to Nicole, and we both agree on this, we love Bob. We love
Yes.
Bob.
I love him. Lewis, I don't think anyone would have been more perfect for that role than Lewis Pullman.
I really like the streak he's on with characters named Bob because his character in Top Gun Maverick was
Yep.
also Bob.
Yep.
But yeah, I agree. He's so talented and I can't envision anyone else in this role having like the mixture of cockiness but also being so down to earth and so scared. I love Bob. I hope he survives whatever comes next for Marvel. Florence Pugh is such a badass leader to have for
I
the Thunderbolts.
I love her. I love Florence Pugh.
Love
Genuinely.
Florence Pugh, love Yelena. Like, I don't think there was anyone in this cast that like or character-wise that I didn't enjoy or that didn't serve a purpose.
Yeah.
Sebastian Stan, I will never complain about seeing him on my screen, especially as Bucky Barnes. David Harbour, as we said, iconic. I don't know how he manages, same with Florence Pugh. I don't know how they manage to do their accents without breaking character, but props to them. Also, thank you, David Harbour, for watching my Instagram story. Thunderbolts is such a whirlwind and it's such a good film. And I will say confidently, it's like the first Marvel film I've seen in a while that I've actually thoroughly enjoyed. And I'm very excited to see what happens next. The question is, Nicole, did you stay for the post-credit scenes?
So I stayed for the post-credit scenes. There were the
There were
two
two.
two couples beside me left after the mid-credit one, and I
Oh.
was like, "Ah, newbies."
I was like, there's two post-credits. And you're like, no, two couples.
It worked for both. It worked for both. No, the middle one came on, and I was like, guys, why are you all leaving?
I know. I went with Sophie, my sister, and when a bunch of our theater got up, she was like, "What fake fans?"
You tell them.
Long
No,
story short, if you go see Thunderbolts, do not leave before the two end credits.
don't be a rookie like those people. But the last thing I wanted to say, one of the scenes that had me giggling the most was near the beginning when how do I say this without giving anything away? There's people working together to get out of a situation, and they're really like rock climbing with body
How
parts.
did I know you were gonna say that exact
And
scene?
I was giggling. I was like, this is so unrealistic and I love it.
My legs would have been killing me.
I would have been horrible. I would have fallen to my death.
Real. I knew you were gonna say that scene. Don't know how, but we're on the same wavelength, I guess. But yeah, no, so many good scenes, so many funny moments, but still very heartfelt, down to earth, and still like Marvel core. So there's still the bad guys, there's still the good guys, and a lot of fighting. 4 out of 5 on Letterboxd.
Well, those are our watches of the week. So let's move in to our songs of the week. Gracie, what you been listening to?
I have been listening to a country song.
Yay.
It's a bit of a throwback for me. It's one of my favorite songs ever, but it's called Mr. Mom. I love it. I don't know why, but as a kid growing up, that would be like my go-to song. So when it came on my Spotify Shuffle, which has really been popping off, my Spotify Shuffle has been giving me some good throwbacks. I was like, oh my God, I love this. So I've been listening to it a lot lately. How about you? What's your song of the week, Nicole?
I'm also going to stay on the country train with you. Um,
Shocker.
Megan Maroney came out with a new song with Kenny Chesney last week called You Had to Be There, and she said that she wrote it for him as a Christmas gift because if you don't know, Megan Maroney was on tour with Kenny Chesney for the Sun Goes Down tour last year, as an opener for his tour, so they were on the road for a good chunk of last year, and she was always posting how much she loved it. Clearly, they have such a strong friendship, and they filmed a cute little music video for this as well. So it's just very wholesome and I love it. It's giving off great summer vibes. So the song comes just in time for the summer. So I've been listening to that on repeat for sure.
On to our last segment. Nicole, what do we have first in our upcoming releases?
Yeah, well, like we said earlier, today, May 15th, Overcompensating is on Prime Video.
We also have Bet on Netflix. We also have Secrets We Keep on Netflix.
Continuing on the Netflix train, we have Love, Death plus Robots, Volume 4.
Over on Paramount Plus, we have SkyMed Season 3.
Then turning to tomorrow on May 16th in theaters, a film I am so excited for. I cannot express how excited I am to see this on the weekend. Final Destination's Bloodlines is in theaters.
We also have Hurry Up Tomorrow in theaters.
Like we said earlier, A Breed Apart comes out tomorrow in both limited theatrical release and on video on demand.
And if you missed watching it when it was out in theaters, The Brutalist is coming to Max.
Deaf President Now is also on Apple TV Plus tomorrow.
Also on Apple TV Plus, we have Murderbot.
Then on May 20th, we have Motorheads, which is a series going to Prime Video.
And rounding it out on May 21st, we have Nine Perfect Strangers Season 2 on Hulu.
Well, that is all we have for today's show. So if you're still with us, thank you so much for tuning in and joining our conversation with Grace, hearing all the latest news, as well as our reviews of Overcompensating and Thunderbolts, and hearing everything that's coming out this weekend for you to watch at home and in theaters. But we will be back at the same time next week, as always, to fill you in on the latest roll down of entertainment news. But until then, I'm Nicole.
I'm Gracie, and you can watch us wherever you get your podcasts on Spotify and YouTube.
We'll see you then. Bye.
Bye.